Yeah. That always happens.
Hello, live stream.
Cool.
I can't hear anything but.
Oh,
It's that's because I'm the only important one.
I think it's because Nick was
They messing around with it.
recently and scared the crap out of me.
yeah.
Oh,
There we go.
Cool.
Stefan, talking to me.
Hello.
Okay, cool.
Can you hear me also?
Cool.
Bad boy.
Do you know how to get it back to those levels?
Right, so then
There. Okay, cool.
thank you.
Yeah. I had to call Stefan in the panic for that.
We need to move that light probably too.
Oh. Yeah, if you just want to swing it, I can close the door and then.
Oh, cause the door.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Seems like a good place to meet. Bye, Caitlin. All right, live stream.
Does that still look okay?
We're doing our sound check. We got the crew here.
The crew.
You got puffy hearts on your shirt.
Has the little feet on it. Did you ever have a close up the little feet on it?
I feels like my feeling about that shirt is that you did not buy it new.
Rachel bought it for me on Etsy.
Ooh.
Good.
Does Etsy sell used clothing or was it like?
Yeah,
Oh.
like vintage.
They have a vintage section that's very good place to find Christmas presents for people.
Mm.
I got my mom a sweater that came from Thailand. It was like a month late for Christmas, even though I ordered it a month before. But
Thailand is a long way away.
it is a very long way
I had to
away.
put it on boat.
Yeah, and it was in a very cool package. It had like interesting stamps on it.
Cool. Good stamps.
All the international mail stuff. This is
Yeah.
not poison.
Yeah.
This is not.
Yeah, there's not live animals in it.
Yeah.
Or fruit.
Or food. Yeah.
Oh man, Hiroka's tightly controlling the situation.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's showing off the logos.
oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Hank, do you have any pictures of yourself from high school?
Yeah.
You should share one on the Slack because we were all sharing high school pictures today,
Okay.
and that was really fun.
I got some good, terribly embarrassing ones.
Perfect.
Me wearing too much lip liner,
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah.
which is ending out.
Not necessarily. I'm sure there's a right balance for you.
It's true. It's true. Like when it comes down to it, a certain amount of lip liner probably would look better than no lip liner. It would be
I
a
don't,
very
I don't know about that.
no.
I don't know.
Just a hint. It was eyeliner, but it was on my lips, and sometimes I would color in my whole lips with eyeliner because I didn't have black lipstick. So
That sounds better to me than just the line.
Yeah.
Like, I could see you with black lipstick, but I can't see you just with lip liner.
Well,
Maybe someday I will.
we should have a lip liner party.
It'll be the last thing I see you in lip liner.
I don't even think that I have notes, and I also don't think I'm going to even open a document about this because I basically made my fact up.
Oh.
That's not how facts work. That's not a fact, then. I basically made the thing that I want to talk about up. It's a thing, but it's a thing I
For
want
this
to talk
topic, I'll allow it.
about. Okay.
Yeah. I
Um,
almost talked about made up things. It's like this has been disproved 5 different ways, but it's interesting.
Hey, live stream. Are we going to talk about the thing that's happening?
At least for the live stream, I think
Okay.
I probably will.
So I think this is going to be the last episode of Holy Fucking Science in this format. So it won't be called Holy Fucking Science anymore. It will still be these 4 people sitting on a couch, but it will be more structured, and there will be this part that we're doing where we try and stump each other with cool science facts, but there will be more to it than that. What are the other
Like
formats?
viewer mail. So send us some
We're gonna
mail.
have some. We're gonna answer questions.
Yeah.
Probably just send it to the Holy Fucking Science email address still until we figure that out.
What is that email address?
I think it's holyfuckingscience@gmail.com.
Okay.
I don't have an email address.
Yeah, or you can send it to info@scishow.com.
Okay.
The regular one.
Right.
And
Will
that's
there
what we'll
still
end
be
up
live
using.
streams?
There will
There'll
still be live streams.
Yeah, for sure.
We're gonna try and get more people showing up for them. Hopefully that's okay with you.
Yeah, because we want to do like a live chat interaction sometimes too,
Mhm.
where you guys can ask us questions.
Right, and
on specific topics.
we will have some competitive, very slightly competitive elements that you can participate in.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
do like one true or false, like one
Yeah,
fact
we're
is
gonna-
true, one's false.
yeah.
I'll try to trick. Probably me and Stefan.
I gotta write it down so that you just don't pick whatever Ceri picks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, a
Uh-huh.
segment where you have to impress me and Stefan with science facts, and
Yeah.
we'll vote on if either of them are
Are
impressive.
good.
Yeah.
They're both boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a whole doc of other stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. We're trying to tighten it up a little bit, and create some segments so there's space between the segments to talk about Casper. They'll send you a
Wait.
I wasn't
There's
sure.
also purple mattresses, which are pretty cool.
purple.
Yeah.
So
Or-
let's not commit ourselves to one or the other.
Purple really leans into the science part.
I bet you had
Mattress
always
game.
figured you could never afford a sleep number mattress. But can you afford another night's sleep on that bullshit that you're sleeping on now?
I know for sure I couldn't afford a sleep number.
I don't know. I don't know how much they cost because I've not looked into it.
I wonder how those work.
Are those ones that
The
like
sleep number?
Yeah, you can change
change
like
the heart?
yeah,
or
is it
miss
just an
the-
inflatable sack or something in it or
Yeah, I don't know. Something like that. Just fill it with beans.
Mhm.
yeah. Fill it with more or less beans.
Yeah.
There's little mice in
So
there.
how- the number
and
of
they carry the
beans.
beans out when you crank the dial.
Sarah asks if there's a name yet.
Oh, it's very contentious.
There is a
Yeah.
certain amount of disagreement about the name at the moment. No, there's quite a bit of
There's a-
consensus.
There's a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
consensus, but
Yeah.
We're still discussing,
Yeah.
a couple.
but we're close.
Yeah. Close.
Which we need to find out because I think next week we're recording the first,
Yeah.
the first
We'll get
episode
there.
of that.
I think we'll get there fast
Yeah.
enough.
And we'll still have different like sometimes other people from the company will rotate in for like
Mhm.
people who are visiting us from out of town.
Yeah.
Do like crash course. We'll drop in for one of our spots. So we'll still have that.
Yeah.
Or like if there's somebody in the office who's an expert at some particular thing, they'll probably be on the episode about that thing.
You text
Are you writing someone an email right now?
I am writing someone a direct message on Twitter to let them know that they don't need to be worried about a thing that they're worried about.
Oh, okay. My parents call me and talk to me about your Twitter pretty frequently.
My Twitter?
Yeah.
What is that?
They just love your Twitter. They read it all the time.
What are they talking to you about?
They're just like, oh, did you see what Hank tweeted? That's basically it. It's like, he has some interesting views on gun control or whatever.
Oh my god. Now I have to deal with the fact that Sam's parents are in my tweets.
Maybe they should be on an episode
I'll
someday.
just start posting dicks.
No.
They
love you.
They want to scare
They
away.
love you. It wouldn't scare my mom away. It would scare my dad away. But probably. Not because she wants to see dick.
I was like, I
She goes
would
to
not
the internet
say the
more.
thing that came to mind.
I think she's just she has a much tougher skin for internet craziness
Right.
because she's Southern and she has lots of Southern family on Facebook. And I think that they have
She's seen it all.
inoculated her against the horrors of the internet. So comparatively, a dick is fine. But my dad's a very sensitive man.
All right. I'm gonna start the podcast, you guys. Because it seems like we already missed good opportunities for people to enjoy themselves. Hello. Are we good on levels, Hiroka?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's just like
Doing it.
patiently waiting.
Hello. This podcast is not for children. It's a podcast in which four friends get together and try to amaze each other with facts about the world or how we found those facts about the world.
Holy
And that's
fucking
what someone else on the
science.
podcast will say.
Holy
Holy
fucking
fucking
science.
science. Hello, everybody. I'm Hank Green. And this is our last episode of Holy Fucking Science. Kind of.
Kind of.
We'll be back in a way.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I mean,
it's the same people.
And mostly
It
the
will
same
just-
way.
It will just be
Yeah.
a slightly different format and
Last
maybe a
episode of it
different
having
name.
a dirty name.
Yeah, we're going to take the word fuck out of the name. 'Cause it's a little hard to promote it when you're on places where you can't say fuck. So, but I have to say before we talk about that I'm joined by Stefan Chin.
Hello.
What's your tagline for today?
Oh, wow.
And Sam Schultz, what's your tagline?
Freshly sliced deli meats.
Ooh, is that the one
that's-
from last time?
No,
That's a good tagline.
it was word up last time. Very different.
It just seemed like you were real ready with that. and Ceri Riley. What's your tagline?
Staying afloat.
Ooh.
That is very similar to yours last time, which was equally like grim.
Yep.
Are you doing okay?
It's fine. We're talking about it's thematic to our subject of the day.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And our subject of the day is apocalypse.
End of the world.
The end of the world.
The end of the world. The end of the world.
Whatever the end of the world is, whatever that means.
Or your concept of the world.
Yeah, just the end of. I mean, like the end of my world is just death, which is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a kind of apocalypse,
Mm-hmm.
but only a very personal, small one.
Yeah.
So everybody brought something to do with apocalypse to talk about to try and blow some minds. But before we go there, let's talk a little bit about I don't know. But before I say that, let's back it up. Well, how do I usually do it at the beginning of the podcast, guys?
We figure out what order.
Oh, right. That's the thing. Thanks.
Gonna be something that punishes me, I'm sure.
Okay, I researched mine in 15 minutes before this.
Yeah, and I made mine up. So yes, before we begin, we have to decide who goes first. And we're going to do that by picking the person to go first.
The lowest life expectancy.
Who is closest to their own personal apocalypse.
You.
It probably is me.
Your own personal apocalypse?
No, that's your death day.
Or
Average death day.
midlife crisis.
Either is the same. I am
You're
at
closer to
I
both.
am at my
You
midlife
are
crisis.
not.
What is midlife? I have arguments with people
is it
about
your
this.
midlife baby crisis?
I had a baby. That was what I did for my crisis,
Oh,
which I think is a great way to do it.
yeah, that's okay.
More life.
But
Mhm.
it's supposed to be after your kids leave that you have your midlife crisis.
See, this is the question for me. Midlife,
Mm-hmm.
to me, middle-aged is the period between being young and being old. I am
Yeah.
no longer young. I am closer to 40 than to 30. So
Still pretty young.
I mean, yeah, okay. I'm sure that if you're 80 years old, you think that I'm young. Absolutely, I get that it's a perspective thing. But from my perspective, am not young. Are you? Would you say that you are young?
I would say you're still young.
Okay.
I think you're
I
just
would
getting
actually agree
going.
with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other definition, and I looked this up, and according to people, that young ends at 35. According to the people that were the top results on Google,
That's
and
pretty
I
charitable, I'd say.
don't know how that works. The other one is to just double it and ask yourself, is that a respectable age at which to die? Like, would that be a tragedy if I died at twice my age? Not really.
Yeah.
Oh, I think really for me.
Yeah, it would be absolutely for you,
No.
but not for me.
My kids would miss me so much.
Oh, that's so sad. I can't wait to see you kids.
They're gonna be really cute.
Yeah.
I think the crisis part is what you need to concentrate more on.
Right, not in the midlife.
Yeah, because I think it's when you feel, because like having kids is kind of a young person activity, and raising kids is kind of like something that imbues your life with some kind of meaning.
Right.
And then when that chapter closes, that's when you buy the car and run away to Malibu or something.
Yeah.
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 So the crisis part was what I was concentrating on.
Yeah.
You haven't
Well,
had one of those
I have
yet.
crises all the time.
Yeah,
Constant crisis.
I'm also in constant crisis.
No, but those crises are to build your life towards like a certain goal. I feel like those crises have a function, and the midlife
I'm glad
crisis
that
has
you
no
think so.
function except to destroy your life.
Okay. I see.
I've had those kind of crises before too, so I guess maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, you can have they call it a quarter life crisis now because we just gotta give people excuses to have as many crises as they can.
There's kind of more. I feel like there's more reasons to have them now.
Maybe, yes. Though analyzing that probably is outside of the depth of this particular podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I am, I guess, going to go first because I'm closest to death. Who's next closest to death?
I'm oldest out of the rest of us.
We're just going to go by oldest because we're not going to start analyzing like health habits and.
Yeah, there's certain things my parents listen to this podcast that I can't talk about.
What do you do that decreases your life expectancy?
He goes base jumping.
Nothing anymore.
Every night.
Nothing anymore.
Certain things. Is it to do with a scar?
No, you know what?
That big. I never asked about that big scar.
I was like 5 years old, and when I would eat food, I would like to pretend that I was the waiter serving myself food.
Mm-hmm.
My playroom was in the basement, down this huge, really steep flight of stairs in Butte, because all the houses are a million years old and crazy. So I had it up like I was a French waiter, and I was walking an ice cream sandwich down to myself, and then I wasn't holding on to the rail because one hand was on my hip and one hand was up with the tray, which I'd done a million times before. And I remember thinking, whoa, and then seeing the edge of the doorway at the bottom of the stairs coming at me on the 4th of July when I was like 5.
Okay.
So that probably decreased my life expectancy.
Essentially.
Could be, yeah, why I didn't get the best grades. Maybe I should go second.
No, you're older than Sam, yeah? And then Ceri's the youngest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby.
All
Did
right.
you do anything horrible that will decrease your life expectancy?
Well, Stefan and I were talking about micromorts at some point, and
Mhm.
apparently
Hmm.
living in Boston for one day is equivalent to like smoking a cigarette
Yeah, I
or
can't remember
something ridiculous
exactly
like
what
that.
it was.
Oh.
I just thought it was funny that they have a unit for like measuring the loss of an hour of life expectancy.
Yeah.
But it's like if you eat a bunch of vegetables every day, you gain 2.
Hmm.
But if
gain
you
2
sit for
micromorts.
too long, you're losing more than that anyway.
Yeah, so
it's
I sit a lot, and I lived in Boston for 4 years, so who knows, I'm on the way to death.
We
Do you
all
ever
sit
eat
a lot.
vegetables?
Yeah. Sometimes I eat vegetables, not very often. You
Okay.
don't want a potato.
I love a vegetable.
Yeah.
I had
like
a big old
vegetables.
salad last night. Last night I ordered a salad, like a delivery salad from a pizza place. A
Mm.
salad from a pizza place, and it
Whoa.
arrived, and I put it in a
Holy
bowl,
fucking
and it
salad.
it hit the bowl, and then it went, and then it was like I couldn't see the bowl anymore because it had spilled out and surrounded it, and I was like, what did they give me?
Was it the pizza place nearby here?
It was the bridge.
Oh, they have great salads.
They do have good stuff.
Yeah, but also Pie Hole has amazing
I've
salads.
never had a
They
pie bowl
just throw
salad.
like every vegetable you can imagine on there.
Oh, I should check that out.
Yeah. Pizza
I love
place
the
salads are
amount
great.
Of
we
just
discuss
Missoula
local
specific.
businesses on this
I think it's
science
like a
podcast.
tourism service. Like
Yeah.
people will come and be like, "God,
This
you
podcast brought to you by the city of Missoula.
Yeah.
Come visit. It's nice
Don't
occasionally.
do it right now, please.
Yeah,
you don't have a bad
maybe avoid right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Between June and
Yeah, June and September.
July.
Yeah, I say just the month of September is the only time I like it here.
Fire. What is a fire?
Well, there isn't always bad fires. There certainly were this year. And when I say like it here, I mean it's really nice outside
Mhm.
for a little bit. I want to talk about the apocalypse, though. So I wanted to think about what the fastest, biggest apocalypse would be.
Hmm.
So, like, getting rid of people is a big apocalypse. Getting rid of the whole planet is a whole other level, right? But then, bigger than that, what about the whole solar system? And then I was like, well, what would it take for the universe to stop existing? And, like, there's the eventual universe heat death thing. But then I started thinking about what we call constants. So there are a bunch, like the speed of light is
Speed of light,
constant, and it's always been that, and it's never going to change, we think. But there is
Okay.
some thought that maybe constants change, and that's a really weird thought for physicists to have because it changes a lot of things and messes some things up. And the idea is that constants are the same everywhere in the universe and also throughout time. It seems that they're the same everywhere in the universe, but we don't know if they're the same throughout time because we can't see forward.
Yeah.
We can never see forward, and we also kind of can't see backward to a certain amount. Though we can also see backward a fair ways and pretty accurately. So we think that the constants stay relatively the same, but there are some weird, not relatively. We think that the constants stay the same. But there are some strange things about constants, specifically if you start to get down to the really small level, like the strong force, where scientists basically are like, okay, the strong force is this, and it's that, and that's really turns out to be quite good, because if it were a little bit more than that, then basically the universe wouldn't have happened. And if it were a little bit less than that, then stars wouldn't have happened. And that's like kind of an upsetting thought that like there's this like this thing that has to be the way that it is for the universe to be a place where not like life can exist, but that stars can exist without like blinking out instantaneously. And so if you lived in a universe where everything else was the same, but the strong force was a little bit different, just a little bit different, stars couldn't exist, or the universe wouldn't have started to begin with. Basically, I'm simplifying because what the fuck do I know about particle physics? And so this has led some people to believe that maybe the strong force is such this sort of specific perfect number because it was made up by the people who are running the simulation. And that the universe is a simulation, and that otherwise, like, why would it be so perfect? There are some other ideas about why it's quote unquote so perfect, but that's one of them. And the worst, and not worst necessarily, but the fastest and biggest apocalypse would be if either the simulation just turned off,
Yeah.
or if they changed the strong force a little bit, and then suddenly all the
I like
stars
the
stopped.
idea that they turn it off. They're just like, I'm
Did you
tired
see-
of this game.
Did you see what they're doing? What are they doing?
I like the idea that we like go out of beta testing and we get like wide release. And a bunch of like kids are playing it.
Are we still in beta?
We are still in beta.
Oh no.
And then the kids are playing and there's this like flying hot dogs everywhere that they're like evolving on their planets and we're like, oh god.
No.
Yeah.
Not the children.
Yeah.
But so my question about the strong force thing is, if you changed it, would the universe fall apart and then come back together like on a different scale or something like that?
It would fall apart, like fusion wouldn't happen. Like
Okay.
the gravity and like atoms wouldn't be able to function the way that atoms function.
Okay.
So like some of the stuff I was reading was like certain types of hydrogen couldn't form, and those types of hydrogen are necessary for fusion to happen.
Mm-hmm.
In a star, and then some of it is like literally atoms wouldn't stick together to the point where like it would just be protons and neutrons and electron in a soup, and it would just be this soup of nothing.
Would that happen if it's
Homogeneous soup.
increased or decreased?
Like one thing happens if it increases and another thing happens if it decreases. So I think if it decreases, everything's just a soup, and then if it increases, then like fusion, like stars burn out instantaneously, basically, which would be like a really fast way for everything to end.
You'd see that one coming though, probably, right?
Well,
We
no,
would also probably collapse.
what would happen? It might. Yeah, I think that. I'm not sure actually. I think probably we would all die instantaneously, but maybe we get a signal from a satellite, or not get a signal from a satellite, and be like the satellite's gone right before we all die.
Sorry, your Hank's lights turned on?
It turned off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
When?
What happened? Pause. Ooh. Wait, say things. Now it's on, right? Is this one or
yeah, it's 3.
yeah? But it just wasn't doing anything. before?
Yeah, like the cellular turned off and then I couldn't hear anything. Could you speak?
Hi, I'm Hank Green. Hello.
Can't hear anything from you.
Hello. What's the picture? Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. Another drumstick, and your brain starts ticking. And what's the next style to the night on? What all on my phone? It's nothing in the lips when my carrots is for them getting frantic. Texting them frantic. I think I guarantee to satisfy. The Kurosawa I like on film.
Can somebody else say things?
Hello. I don't know that song.
I don't really
I'm
hear you
young.
saying me.
What different times it was when that song was released.
What?
That song would never be anything now.
No.
Oh, not that it's a bad song. I think it's a good song. But
Yeah.
it's just like,
People be like, no.
yeah,
No.
we got Rihanna over here. You can't be
just
here.
do that.
This track is solo right now, which you can see. I don't know how to undo that. But like the S.
But you didn't push anything, right?
Oh, hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Was it recording?
That is an unknown function. Yeah, it is recording. Great. I didn't know you could do that on there.
Did you even push anything to make it happen, or just did it?
It just did. I tried to adjust Ceri's volume.
Oh.
Maybe I pushed something.
Just holding it too long or something.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
Isolated
Gotta
the
stop
track.
Good to know.
Or quieter, or stay at the same volume.
So what was that? What happened?
Would we know? Would we
Strong.
realize
Oh yeah,
that?
I just said that maybe there would be a signal from the satellite.
Right. There'd be like a wave.
It's unclear. Like basically, if a constant changes, it would probably change everywhere in the universe at the same time.
Mhm.
So if the strong force being exactly where it needs to be is necessary for like you to be a physical object, then it would just happen to everything at the same time. But if the problem is just that all the stars would burn out, maybe we'd be able to be like, I feel a little weird right before we all die.
Oh, I hope not. What happens if we turn into soup? Is it just like the universe is just like a dense cloud of?
It would be a not dense cloud of nothing. It
Okay.
would be a sparse cloud of things pushing each other away.
Oh. You know how in Star Trek the replicator is hooked up to like an alternate dimension full of matter?
I did not know that that's how the Star Trek
They
replicator
can
works.
teleport stuff from
I
some
didn't know
kind
that.
of like,
I thought that
kind of
it
like
took.
pocket dimension of matter.
I just thought that they had like a big cube
Like
of like
yeah.
stuff.
For
He's getting his phone out like this matters.
toner cartridge.
It matters to me. It's the only science.
Did you say a toner cartridge?
Yeah,
What's a toner cartridge?
A toner
a toner.
Oh, a
cartridge.
toner. Like a printer.
Yeah, like a printer.
Yeah, that's what I imagined. That it was
Yeah.
like,
Or
like
you
a
thought like
printer.
atonement, like in a toner.
I heard
What did you think?
toner.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's from
Okay,
from
what's wrong?
StarCraft or something.
A
You
toner.
have
Yeah.
to like reload.
You need
your
to build more
cartridge.
pylons.
Yes.
A
You should make a
replicator.
fictional printer with a toner
A toner.
cartridge.
Keep talking.
Yeah, to me, there is a room on the Enterprise that's just a bunch of carbon and hydrogen and nitrogen and whatever tea is made out of, and then it just like beams that out of that
Or
cube.
it just collects it from the interstellar medium as it travels.
It could like a big ramjet. It just, like,
Yeah.
sucks in the atoms and then is like, hey, he wants some tea now, but you got to put it someplace.
Yeah.
Unless you're going fast enough that there's constantly collecting all that good replicator juice.
You go at light speed. What do they do? Warp speed? Warp drive?
Yeah, man.
Warp 9?
This is beyond me right now.
I thought that maybe you weren't gonna find it that fast.
I'm pretty sure I read it on the Star Trek wiki.
Memory alpha.
Yeah, memory alpha. Look at that a lot.
Look at that a lot too. My own self. I'm a pretty big fan, but I'm not well versed in the intricacies of how the replicators work.
No, I mean I thought I was, but apparently I'm not.
Well, I mean, if you think you know what you're talking about, you probably
Well,
do.
so
It's
anyway,
all made up
my
anyway.
scary thought was,
Which is-
what if we turned into the galaxy of just raw
Right.
matter that they were tapping into?
Maybe we already are. Maybe
Ooh.
sometimes they like Captain Picard asks for some tea and like you just lose a little bit of weight.
Yeah.
It comes out of all of us.
Oh no.
Oh.
We're Earl Grey now in Captain Picard's belly.
Oh no, he drank us.
I'd be okay with that.
He's hot.
He can do whatever he needs to do as long as it keeps him going.
Right, he's got a track.
He has many lives that he's taking care of.
True.
He's an
Mm.
important man.
Yeah,
More important than me.
yeah. Sam's ready to sacrifice himself. Fucking Captain Picard over here. But anyway, it's Stefan's turn. I think unless anybody has any additional questions about I discovered this thing about the universe and got afraid that maybe somebody was going to change the universal constants and thus everything would fall apart.
But
I like.
Oh, go.
I do. Well, I just had a thought because we talk about like if the sun disappears, it's like 8 minutes until we notice because it's traveling
Light
at the
speed.
speed of light.
Yeah.
And I liked the idea of if you change the constant, that propagates from one point where the constant changed, and it can only propagate at the speed of light.
Oh yeah.
Because
It's like
that
a wave
constant
across-
didn't change.
Yeah.
I don't know. That seems.
I don't think that's how constants
Yes.
work though. They
Yes.
don't move around.
I agree. I just like the idea.
I also like the idea that there's like a parameter in a computer somewhere that basically
Yeah.
says atoms stick together. It's so
Yes.
weird. Like that one
Yeah.
thing. I read a book once that said if you want to look for God anywhere in the universe, that's where
atoms stick together.
Extremely creeping me out.
Is that sentence?
No, yeah, I just hate thinking about that kind of universal constant thing where it's just
Yeah.
like some kind of math is keeping us here.
From
Yeah,
disintegrating.
we-
Please
Not
keep
math.
working.
Yeah,
That's like all of our stuff in our bodies. It's all probability. Like we
Yeah.
like saying that molecules want
Oh,
to
yeah.
bind or react with each other, but it's chance. Everything is chance.
Yeah, but chance is fact at
Yeah.
a certain level. Because like probabilistically, like all of the molecules in the room could leave,
Yeah.
and then we just suffocate
Mm.
and die.
I worry
But
about that all the time. Like, atom's gonna split in my head, and my head will just explode
Oh.
and take
You're
the
just gonna
city
have,
with
like-
me.
whoa, shit!
I don't want it to happen.
Leave now.
Yeah.
Go to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Sam's unstable.
Yeah, we worry about like cancer, but
Yeah.
some people worry about heads exploding.
And all because you tried to serve yourself an ice cream sandwich when you were 5.
You're like
Yeah,
a
I spit
weirdo
all
French
over
kid.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll do this idea justice, so maybe cut this out. But the like the idea that like there's if you re-roll the universe enough times that like some like the constants and all of that, like there are some number of combinations that will result in something.
Yeah.
And like we would only arise in those.
Right. That is like I find that to be it's not really a scientific idea because it's an idea that just sort of makes good sense but is impossible to test for.
Right.
But that is where I sort of come to is like this universe to me, if it's that specific, it seems like it must be the product of some kind of natural selection. That like universes happen and then but the ones that sort of like don't have certain properties either go away or nothing interesting happens in them and like we're in one of the ones where interesting things happen.
I guess it's interesting.
So that is how I feel, but it's like not an easy thing to test for. You guess this is an interesting universe?
Yeah.
Get off my show! That's the whole fucking point.
We spend all of our lives seeking a more interesting universe, so this must not be.
Whatever. No, Star Wars is this universe. Star Trek is this universe.
I think
Those
this
are all-
universe is interesting. I just wanted to be
Only
clear.
fantasy books are different universes.
I want to live in the Pokemon universe where all the
Ooh.
wars are settled by Pokemon battles. That would be great.
I mean, think
I agree with you. We should talk to North Korea about that.
They might. We could probably convince them.
What's
We
North Korea's
genetically engineered
Pokemon?
What? Too many talks.
Oh, sorry.
You want to genetically
finish.
engineer Pokemon?
Yeah.
And you?
I want to know, like, if the U.S. versus North Korea is going to happen in the Pokemon universe, what are our Pokemon?
Well, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that maybe ours are bigger and stronger.
Oh.
We got we got the 3 starters from the original generation.
We got
Why
all
did we
3?
get all
got-
three?
Shit.
Because it's that'd be 6-on-6 battle like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Oh.
North Korea's got, like, Weedle or something.
No, they have
Metapod.
Steelix and Onix
Kakuna.
and.
I advocate myself from this conversation being 37 years old. Pokemon happened after me.
You
I
know
mean,
who
I'm
they are,
referencing the
though.
original Pokemon.
Pokemon
so-
happened after me, in America anyway. Gotta catch 'em all. That's all I know.
I mean, I'm also saying I'm out of the loop, too, on
Probably
all
did
the
too,
more
and I was
recent
like-
stuff. I know, like, 7 Pokemon.
It's great.
The original set.
Okay. All I know about Pokemon is from Pokemon Go, which I played for a week.
Then they ruined it.
Well, no,
That's a
then I
whole different
stopped.
thing. Then they ruined it after you stopped.
The apocalypse of Pokemon Go.
Then they changed some of the universal constants.
Oh, no.
Just disintegrated.
Okay, so let's talk about apocalypses. So one of the things that is bad about climate change is ocean acidification.
Yeah.
And so this is more like the end of the world for coral, question mark. And I think like I didn't know a lot about ocean acidification before reading stuff about it today, but essentially like more CO2 into the ocean lowers the pH, and we've in the news in the last couple of years, like the Great Barrier Reef has been in the news for experiencing like a coral bleaching event, and that's been an ongoing issue. And
I once brought this up to somebody who thought that somebody was literally taking bleach and pouring it on the corals like as an act of defiance. And I was like, I have to like rewind the conversation a little bit before. And I just don't know really how to get you out of this, but like we're gonna do it. We're gonna go through it together, and it's gonna be okay.
I can see how that's a mistake because they like
Yeah.
the coral turns
Yeah.
white and you
they're
think
bleaching,
I mean,
and they use the phrase bleaching.
bleaching.
yeah.
Like-
Or like there was a chemical spill or something, like a
Yeah.
bleach tanker.
No, he thought that people were doing it because it looked better.
Oh.
Oh no.
Huh.
Which is the opposite.
Coral,
Huh.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
You have
way
to be
worse.
Supremely rude to do that.
Yeah.
Rude.
Well, I mean, frankly, we are humans.
Yeah.
So I could see how you might make the mistake. We do some pretty mean stuff
Yeah, I guess.
sometimes to plants and animals and whatever coral are, both of those things, I think.
Just so
Yeah, well, so this was an
Yeah.
interesting thing that I didn't realize about coral was that, like, the coral in the Great Barrier Reef are like, there's a symbiosis between the coral and an algae. And so part of what's happening is as the pH goes lower, the coral is getting stressed. And also because the ocean, the hot ocean is also stressing them out, but that causes them to shoot the algae out. And the algae is important because it photosynthesizes and provides energy for the coral. And I just thought that was cool. I had no idea.
Why do they shoot the algae out?
I don't know exactly why, but
it's hot. You know, sometimes you get
It's,
hot and it's like, get out of the bed.
Yeah.
Like, I can't
Sure.
cuddle right now.
They said it's a short-term survival strategy. I don't know exactly how that helps them survive in the short term, but if the issues persist, then the coral just dies because it starves. But there are cold water corals that live up to 2,000 meters down, and they don't have a symbiotic relationship. They feed on plankton.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Holy fucking stuff.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm done. So a lot of these corals have use aragonite to build their skeletons.
So oregano.
Yes.
Calcium.
They use oregano. I don't know where to go with that. Okay.
Like a pizza. Aragonite?
Aragonite?
Aragonite.
What did I say?
I think you said aragonite.
Oh, okay.
Aragonite, yeah.
Okay. And so in seawater, there's a boundary called the aragonite saturation horizon. And above that, the seawater is saturated with aragonite, which is a calcium carbonate ion. Okay. And so in those conditions, the coral can thrive and it builds up their exoskeleton, whatever. But below that horizon, it's not saturated. And so part of what they're seeing is that horizon is becoming shallower and shallower over time because of the acidification. And if it passes where these coral live, then they basically just dissolve.
Right,
which is
because
not
the
great.
ocean is no longer saturated with aragonite, so
Yeah.
like the corals themselves start to go into solution to bring that
Yes.
saturation up,
Yes.
It's like that
to
constant
get to
change.
separation. It's like the constant change.
Yeah, the constant.
Except it's not constant because it's the ocean. And
Yeah.
Nothing
Very
on
much.
Earth is constant.
Look, I took a swing, all right?
That's okay. We're not on the science couch over
Yeah.
here, so. But so they measured in one area of the North Atlantic that horizon was moving at 10 to 15 meters per year.
Whoa! That seems like a lot.
Yeah.
And it plays in with the global conveyor belt, which is just like the ocean currents moving water in kind of a cyclical pattern around the world. And that's not distributing as much aragonite. But basically they think, based on modeling using they call it the business as usual model for climate change, which is like a doubling of carbon in the next few decades.
Like if we don't change anything, that's doing and continue to build up.
That would cause that layer to move a kilometer to 1 to 1.7 kilometers shallower over the next 30 years.
And how deep is this layer?
I actually don't know where it is right now.
You said that it was 2,000 meters down?
The corals live up to 2,000 meters down.
Okay.
So it must be below that now.
How deep is the ocean?
But how deep is the ocean?
It's pretty deep.
How deep is the ocean in the the Marianas Trench?
It depends on where you're looking. It can vary a whole bunch.
I feel like there's a song that I'm thinking of. How deep is
How
my
deep
love?
Average depth of the ocean, 12,000 feet.
How many kilometers is that?
That's like 5 kilometers.
Okay.
Oh my god, I can't type.
It is 3.6. I was wrong. Well, not wildly wrong.
That was way better than I could estimate. I could not do units.
Because Stefan runs sometimes, I assume. Anyways,
but yeah, that's the main point. Is just that sad times for corals, and like even the corals that are safe from coral bleaching because they don't have these algae are also going to die from ocean acidification because it is bad.
We're talking about all that stuff that makes me sad today.
Yeah. Well,
the good
what do you
news is
expect?
that we'll be fine.
Well,
It's not like the entire universe is going to blink out in an instant,
Well,
which would also kill all the corals. So
yeah, that's true.
your apocalypse basically is like way less epic than mine.
Yours is made up.
Yeah, this is actually
Bitch.
happening.
That's a good point.
Does the algae die too, or does it just kind of like float around in the acidified ocean?
I'm not sure, but what it did say is if the coral dies, I don't know if it's the same algae or I assume it's a different algae, which like takes over the area so that the coral can't it can't like repopulate after.
Yeah, I feel like too much or too little algae will also be a huge problem for the end of the world. It's like
it's pretty important.
Yeah, it's pretty important. If it goes away, we lose like more than half of our photosynthetic
oxygen
stuff going on. I guess cyanobacteria too. But if it is too much of it, it could just cover the whole surface of the ocean and nothing below would get anything.
Yeah,
maybe.
that'd be bad.
What
Probably
else?
smell bad too.
Yeah, it'd be like those algae blooms that look really gross and people think are like alien blobs floating in the ocean. That would just be everywhere. Maybe. I don't know.
Would it smell like we were in a gross swimming pool all the time?
Or
Probably like sort of Yellowstone-y maybe.
Oh.
It used to be that like these like the entire Earth's oceans were all covered in these huge bacterial mats, and I'm just like, ugh, like that's cool and everything, but Earth must have smelled so bad.
And it was really slimy.
Yeah, I don't want to
Change
touch
the
it.
concept.
We're gonna find our first like planet with life on it, and we'll be like, ugh. Oh God, I didn't know what I wanted.
Oh,
This
yeah.
isn't it.
If it's
like
just a planet of cockroaches, oh
It's
god.
I think a planet of bacterial mats is worse than a planet of cockroaches. You just
Yeah.
let you land and you're like, get back on this spaceship.
Especially
But the mats
It's
don't
so
scurry. It's the
slimy.
scurrying.
it smells so bad too, because if they're anaerobic, it'll be all methane.
Oh,
and
It's methane and sulfur and
I almost talked about that for this. There's a time when the Earth was like that, and then
for a long time.
For a long
billion
time.
years or so.
And then at some point photosynthetic organisms appeared, and then oxygen populated the atmosphere, and almost everything died.
Yeah, it was a huge extinction event.
Yeah, it was like one of the
But it
very
was
first-
good. It turned out okay for us.
Yeah. Then we ended up
It's
here.
great.
But yeah,
All the
oxygen.
fart plants died.
All the fart plants died, and that
Poor fart
caused an ice age, and
Whoa, cool.
The snowball Earth.
yeah.
So
plants.
do we just need to be farting more to cause the next ice age?
Well, we don't want to switch back to anaerobic organisms because then we'll die.
Yeah.
And other
If they
gases
call
in the
that
air.
ice age the snowball Earth, can they call the period before that the fart ball Earth?
Ooh.
Probably.
I think that they can.
I think
they do
Because
now.
we're the ones in charge now.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
scientists do.
Call it
They make
whatever
words
you want.
up.
That's the thing, is that like, we're the science namers now. And really all you have to do is say that. Like, we have a science show. We can basically be like, and the scientists call it the fart ball Earth. And everybody will be like, okay.
And then Wikipedia will change.
Yeah. That's how it happens
We're
now.
the science makers, and a lot of the people who name this stuff were eating like weird stuff, and their brains probably had all kinds of diseases. Because it was a long time ago.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
brains are working right, and we're eating healthy.
That's
so We
right.
can name stuff way better.
Yeah, frosted
Yeah.
flakes. And
Organic up in here.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could find like a new virus and name it whatever you wanted. There's
The
so
fart
many
ball.
of them. Yeah,
You can
Yeah,
definitely name a
Sam.
virus the fart ball. Fart ball Sam?
Yeah.
Football Sam.
I'm
Wow.
changing the name of viruses to Sam's.
No.
Oh no!
Why
can
would
pick
you
something
want
better.
viruses? You
It's
can
like-
pick bunnies.
all over
or
the
we could
place. I'll
team
live
up.
forever.
It could be like Sam 1, Stefan 1.
Ooh, I like that.
We're a strain of
S's will be
deadly
a
No,
problem.
two
problems.
S is too confusing. You
That's
can't have
confusing.
S1, S2.
Because it's not just
You can
S1,
be
S2.
you can be Hank 1, Stefan 1. We'll be Sam 1, Ceri 1.
Okay. Oh, battle of the virus.
Battle. Ooh.
Viruses can't infect each other, is a true fact.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
we're
Yeah.
You guys can be the bacteria. We'll be a virus and infect you.
Yeah.
Oh no,
But we could compete for the same resources. Yeah?
Not really. Bacteria basically need an organism, or
Mm.
viruses need an organism to infect, or else they can't do their thing. They don't have. What I found out on a SciShow script last week, influenza A has, count them, 8 genes. 8. That is just not a lot.
How many do we have?
Well, like a billion.
Yeah, many.
Cool.
Tens of thousands, maybe.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, 8 genes. HIV has 9.
Huh.
Crazy. But they hijack the cellular machinery of other organisms to create themselves.
I feel like we could fix it then.
You'd think,
You think?
but and yet we just continue to get influenza and HIV. All right, Sam, what's up?
Okay, wait.
Okay, wait.
Oh, you weren't ready.
Get your
brother-
shit together,
My brother
boy.
was calling me.
And
Oh
you're
my
Googling
God.
Star Trek stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That was your fault somehow. All right. So, the end of the world, you might think like an asteroid or a super virus or nuclear war, but kind of like you said, there's little ends of the world happening all over the place
Uh-huh.
for things that don't really know any better than to think of themselves as the whole world.
Right, like Michael Stipe.
Yeah, Michael Stein. Why is that?
Because he wrote the song, The End of the World as we know it in Nashville.
But his thing was actually about the world ending. Never mind.
I don't know. He seemed to feel fine about it.
He was okay. But I have a little parable for you
Okay.
before I go into this.
Oh, man.
Story time with Sam.
Diane is a millennial. She works a very stressful job with long hours, often doing combined what would have been the jobs of several people in previous generations, just to barely keep herself fed and contribute to a society that will crumble regardless of what she does. The older people around her blame the crumbling of society on her perceived
Avocado
laziness.
toast.
Yeah, on avocado toast and stuff like
I
that.
do love avocado.
But really, the rules of the game have changed, and neither the young people or the old people really understand that, and they're just blaming each other until everything falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
Diane is a worker bee in a hive suffering from colony collapse.
I don't like this.
Here's why. In 2015, researchers released a study that showed that bees in colonies suffering from colony collapse start foraging for food younger, complete less missions to get food, and often die on their first mission to get food. And that is because all the old bees are dead and sick. So they have to usually it's 2 or 3 weeks before a bee will go out to gather food, but it's way less time than that. They're finding in sick hives, so they're not very good at it. And so they'll go out and they'll die instantly, or they'll tire themselves out way before they should. So then there aren't any more worker bees, and all the old bees die. They can't find as much food also because that's one of the things that causes colony collapse. It's harder to find food. So all the old bees die, and all the younger bees die, and then there's just no hive anymore.
Why don't all the old bees work?
Because they're sick.
Because they're sick and dying.
Yeah.
Why don't they just get the heck out of there and stop
Sick
eating honey?
Whoa.
Stop, get out, go, leave.
I don't know, man. Ask society.
They're just mooching off the.
Yeah. They
Social
sucked up all the
Security.
resources. They took all the stuff out of the world that they live in, and now they're mad at the younger bees for not being able to.
I don't know,
to
they're
do their
not
thing.
mad.
Well,
They're
the bees
dying.
are mad, but if these are people, they would be very
So this is
mad.
how the apocalypse of colonies, of bee colonies happen.
Yeah. So it exacerbates it, and now they study the age of the worker bees. That's one marker to see if something is suffering from colony
Nice.
collapse.
Yeah.
Because I guess you don't really know until the colony collapses. maybe?
Right. That's one of the things about colony collapses. It kind of seems like everything's okay until suddenly it's not.
Yeah, and the old bees don't work. I don't know what they're sick with, but it seemed like from the article there are certain illnesses that are the colony collapse diseases,
Mhm.
and it's more like colony collapse is a combination of lots of different things instead of one thing, and this is one of those things.
Do they get just real
I think
tired?
mostly they just die. I
Okay.
think they just die, and the whole generation is gone, or they get real tired and they just stay in the hive all day.
They're just watching too much Fox
CNN.
News.
Yeah. Both are
Both.
symptoms of the same problem.
That's right. Yeah, and then they argue with each other on Twitter.
Oh,
and it's just
God.
guys, there's pollen
work
needs
to be
collected.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I just thought that was scary and kind of
I don't, but I can't get behind us thinking that this is that applicable to our society.
I think it's super applicable to our
I think it's a
society.
good parable,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think that we're in the midst of colony collapse. Please,
Oh.
crossing my fingers.
I think we are.
Do you guys feel like you have to? Does your boss have to work too much? That you're doing the job of? I guess you kind of are
Yeah.
doing the job of a bunch of different people.
Mm-hmm. Me and Caitlin were talking about this the other day. Things are just easier to do now than they used to be
That is part
in
of it.
this particular field.
Yeah.
So yeah,
feel like as the team sizes have expanded, each team just becomes smoother.
Mhm.
And you also want to, like when it's just me and Caitlin and Lou, the original three, like it doesn't matter. Like we're just gonna work as much as we need to get it done. But if we double or triple the size of the team, then it's like you can spread things out and you want to set a good example for people.
For the young bees.
Yeah, the young bees.
To not burn themselves
Not
out and
just
go
sitting
just
around.
die on their first pollen collection mission.
Yeah.
That would be so sad.
It would
I feel
be.
really bad for the bees because they're like babies and they're like, I guess I gotta go.
I gotta go out into the. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The wind blew. I died.
Oh,
I'll never
no.
find my way back now.
When they get the bees teach each other how to collect.
Does this happen to our employees? Do they ever get like blown out and then they just can never find their way back? Have we ever had anyone get lost in the woods and just never find their way home?
Yeah, maybe not.
I haven't seen Ceri in a couple days.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, maybe there are people I just forgot about. You could fall in the river. There's lots of dangers between here and
Sure, you
home.
can fall right into the river.
There's a train track.
Yeah.
And the rivers. We're in the most dangerous part of town.
I'm more worried about the trucks and the cars and the
Yeah.
plows.
That too.
They slip in front of a plow and never find you again.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Oh.
I think everybody would see all the
I
blood.
think they would find you. I think they would find you.
You're buried under enough snow, maybe not.
Yeah, lots of snow.
Yeah. I don't know.
When it melted though.
When it melted.
None of
That's
you-
like if the river froze over, you could like cut a hole in the ice, stick a body in there, get carried away.
Jesus.
Ceri, for some reason, knows how to hide a body real well.
In
Yeah, I
Butte,
don't know. We thought about it in school. That was the thing that you did.
it's easy to hide a body. Not that I would.
Oh,
ever
you
have
see, you
done
thought
it.
Oh,
about
sure,
it
you
too.
just throw them
But
down the shaft.
There's open mine shafts. in
Oh,
Butte.
okay.
No
Yeah.
one's gonna go down there
Mhm.
ever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I wonder how many people are down
None.
there. You don't think
Because murder is a bad.
It happens, though.
so? It does
Yeah.
happen.
But
Especially
usually,
in Butte with like a big union town.
I think, well, yeah. Okay, so I think murder obviously happens a lot, but mostly murder happens and it's like, I did not plan for this to happen.
Yeah.
But in like a union town, maybe, if
Mhm.
there's like somebody's done the wrong, and then it's like, well,
They did
let
the
me
bad.
introduce you to they did the bad, so I'm
Mhm.
going to do a bad back to you. And the bad is this mine shaft that you now are at the bottom of.
Oh, you gotta get rid of it somehow. If you do it in the heat of the moment, there's gonna
Right.
be a moment after the heat of the
I
moment.
guess.
Where you're like, whoop.
They like have fences though, so like kids don't walk up to them.
People have keys. You can get into those things.
Somebody's got a key.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess somebody's probably written a mystery novel about that.
Yeah.
I don't think this would ever happen, but if I ever accidentally murder someone, I feel like I just need to turn myself in immediately, as soon as possible,
Sure.
because
Yeah, if you're
I,
a
like
freaking dork.
I'm such a bad liar that like I'm gonna be like I'll just like see a cop and I'll be like, I killed someone.
Wait.
No, I mean, like, not only is that like the thing you would do, but also the right thing, probably ultimately for your.
Karma, Sam.
That's
Well,
not what TV stuff.
I think like, yeah, you gotta fess up, man. Either that or you gotta like leave and never come back. Just be like, I need a new life.
I'm gonna
I
bank
now
on like,
live on a fisher yacht. It's a yacht that also is for fishing. It's also in the shape of a fisher, which is a kind of a mammal.
Whoa. Like,
It's awesome.
what is
It's like a
fisher?
mustelid. It looks like it's like a kind of a weasel kind
Oh.
of looking thing.
easily.
It's cute, but like teeth.
Really?
Cute, but teeth.
Yeah.
Long,
They'll always
long,
get you.
furry, cute teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's like
Oh,
every mammal.
Lots of teeth.
Yeah.
That is almost every mammal. Cute but teeth.
Needle teeth.
Big
Like-
teeth.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, but if a dog looked at you like that and you were an alien,
More
you'd think,
fangs.
No, that's bad.
cute but
That's
teeth.
furry needle teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cats are cute but teeth too.
They do have little needle
They
teeth.
have a horrifying mouth.
Mhm.
They get real
Ridges in
big,
them?
cat mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so to fit the birds in there.
And the bees.
And the
And-
flowers and the trees.
Yeah.
Hey,
Full circle.
Ceri, it's your turn.
Oh wow. I have have two ideas. I'm going to talk about one of them because I don't know particle physics either, and I don't
Okay.
want to try and
We
jump
already
into
did.
it.
We already did too much particle
We
physics.
covered it. We covered all the particle physics that ever exists. So I'm going to talk about viruses,
Oh no.
which is good that we brought him up. How am I going to introduce this? Cut this, please.
Yes, ma'am.
So there are a lot of there's a lot of fear that the world is going to end with a super virus, and it's actually caused some debates in the scientific community about whether we should even be studying viruses to prepare for pandemics. And I think that's really, really interesting.
So the idea being like the balance between knowing more about them to prepare for them versus we're going to know so much about them that people will figure out how to do this.
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
Like we are going to figure out how to create a virulent strain that can kill a lot of humans. And people are going to take that information and then use it to kill a bunch of humans. Or it's going to accidentally get out of the lab and cause mass destruction.
Andromeda strain.
Yeah. So they.
There's a book.
What did you say?
There's a book.
Andromeda strain?
Uh-huh.
Like
What
correct
turns
me.
you into a vampire?
Oh, we can just die.
Okay. That's a Mega Man.
Bleed
that's
up.
what I'm thinking of.
This doesn't turn you into a vampire, but it is a virus that exists in the world. It's the H5N1 virus, also known as avian flu.
Also known as Stefan 1 Sam 1. That's Stefan 5 Sam 1. Shit.
Stefan 5 Sam 1. Which ones? I forget what the full name of the H's and the N's are, but one of you is one of those proteins.
Okay.
So this virus is already kind of scary because it's highly infectious and it's a bad respiratory disease in birds. And what's especially scary to humans is the fact that if it gets into humans, usually by people who are like tending to chickens or geese, it has a really, really high mortality rate. I think the statistics I read was like the Spanish flu pandemic, it killed somewhere between, I want to make sure I get the percentage right, like 2 and 3% of people.
But that was a really bad one.
It was really bad. It killed at least 50 million people, but the mortality rate was like between 2 and 3%.
Yeah.
The avian flu doesn't infect a lot of people. So like in 2003, there was an outbreak that infected 587 people, but it killed 346 of them. So like it killed nearly 60% of the people that it infected, even though it didn't infect a bunch of people.
What year was that?
2003 in Thailand.
Ugh.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't.
I
was barely alive.
Jeez. That's not true.
It's not true. You remember that too.
Barely.
Yeah, like in high school.
Yeah. I sometimes think that I wasn't really conscious until I was like 25.
I gotta
I'm not
sometimes think
conscious yet.
that. Yeah.
No.
I think you hit the threshold.
Yeah, the
earlier.
thing is that
Yeah.
Ceri has been so much more than any of us have done in her age.
Yeah. Ceri, when you're like 35, you're gonna be.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I can't even conceive.
You're gonna turn into pure light. What?
Beep boop.
Beep,
Like a
boop,
robot.
boop.
Robot, you know.
Yeah.
She went to MIT. She knows what robots sound like.
Yeah, I'm speaking this new language. I'm speaking the robot
Hey,
language.
beep boop.
Hey, beep boop. Boston Dynamics robots.
So I opened the door.
Yeah,
Shit.
come chill with me.
And doing a backflip.
Oh,
Don't
man.
kick the dog.
If they were capable of thought, they'd be so impressed with how we can open doors so good.
The Boston Dynamics robot just be like, shit, that was so fast.
Wait, do it again.
Yeah. You can pick up that box and then that object. No QR code.
Oh.
That's the same size as that box. How did you do it?
But anyway, so
That makes me feel better.
H5N1, very deadly if it gets in humans.
Yeah.
But the thing is it can't be transmitted that we know of between humans.
Oh.
Like it is a animal to human transmission.
Mhm.
So it's bad if a bunch of birds have it because then humans can get it. But if like an infected human is near another infected human, the virus can't jump,
Interesting.
as far as we know.
Yeah, that's good. So just stop snogging all those chickens.
Yeah, basically.
Kill
That's how
all
they.
the birds.
That was how they got rid of it one time.
Well,
They killed
that
all
is
the
what they did.
chickens.
They killed all the birds.
Oh.
Yeah.
But like a big fear is that at some points in time, it's going to mutate enough so that it can jump in between humans and it will cause like the worst pandemic the world has ever seen, or one of the worst, because it has such a high mortality rate. There's probably not, and we don't have like a good treatment for it. So people are just probably going to die. And there was a researcher in 2012, I want to say. He published papers or was going to publish papers in around 2011 and 2012, who studied the H5N1 virus in ferrets. And basically what he wanted to do is figure out how it can be transmitted in mammals. And basically what he did was mutate the virus a bunch, and there are ways in labs that you can cause genetic mutations. So he like tried to cause a bunch of mutations in the virus, then squirted it into the nose of a ferret, and then took that nose juice and squirted it into the nose of another ferret, and then just kept like squirting it between noses. And eventually he got a strain of it that would infect ferrets across the lab without the nasal squirt. So it was being transmitted through the air and infecting a bunch of ferrets.
No. Why?
And he,
science.
yeah.
if you're like a virus researcher, this is like totally normal shit. And he was like, oh yeah, that's what you do.
You want to figure out what it does and then study the mutations. And so what he found was, like Hank said, there are only 8 genes in this virus. It's an influenza A virus. There were only 5 genetic changes in 2 of the virus's 8 genes. So 2 of the genes had 5 little mutations in them, in this one that could be passed through the air. And each mutation had already been found circulating naturally in influenza viruses. They'd just never been combined into one single virus before. And that, wait, what?
Oh, no, what? Say it.
Oh, and that was the reaction of the scientific community. Everyone was like,
holy shit!
Yeah, why did you do this? And that, like, everyone, that this is why there was a huge uprising in the scientific community, because we don't really have this kind of regulation, to my knowledge. Like, there's a National Science Advisory Board for Biosecurity, and I think the last big thing that they reviewed was stuff related to the anthrax bacterium.
Is it bacteria?
I think it's bacteria. Maybe.
Some kind of spiky little balls.
You see pictures?
I think it's spiky little balls.
Yeah, Bacillus anthracis.
Okay.
AKA spiky ball.
AKA spiky balls.
That's Latin for spiky balls.
So yeah, basically he discovered that this is something that probably could happen naturally with enough time and with enough mutations. And
so it seems like something we should be studying.
So it seems like something we should be studying. And there was so much, like, this got picked up by the news media, and people were really scared because it's like, well, if it can be transmitted between ferrets, can't it be transmitted between humans too? Like, what is it's in mammals now. It's not in birds.
Let's not find out.
Yeah, let's not find out. And so I think in January 2012, influenza virus researchers from around the world announced a pause of 60 days of all research involving highly pathogenic avian flu virus. They were basically like, everyone is freaking out, so we're just gonna take a nap for 2 months. That's it. Let me
everybody. Man, I love that so much.
Yeah.
I think we should do that for Facebook. Just be like 2 months off Facebook, everybody.
Yeah.
There's no Facebook for 2 months. See how it goes.
Yep.
And then everybody who looks at Facebook gets a 2 months vacation. Everybody stops spending money, and we just don't no Facebook for 2 months. I'll just take a little bit of break, take a breath, and come back. Now and we're just much. Just a little bit of temperance.
I love Twitter, but if Twitter was gone for 2 months, I would read so many more books.
Yeah. I would totally find some other way to waste that time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
But maybe a healthier way.
Yeah. People
So
start
good.
playing browser-based Flash games again or something.
Oh yeah, let's go back to Newgrounds.
So after the 60 days, they basically used that time. They napped some, but also used it to compile let it settle for a little bit and compile all that they knew about like the public health benefits of the work. Basically, they probably did a lot of research and writing during it. And described, like, this guy just didn't stick viruses in ferrets willy-nilly. He went through a lot of governmental hoops. He had a lot of like advisory boards to get funding to do this, to like make sure the virus was not dangerous enough that it wouldn't like completely kill everything. Like there's all these biosafety laws that high level researchers have to do, or like not high level, researchers who are working with really dangerous contaminants have to do. So basically what they did is they like gathered up all this evidence, and I don't think that anything new has been created out of it, which is weird to me. I think that, I don't know, we should have more concern about this. But basically people are like, okay, let's resume research on H5N1. There haven't been any papers published to my knowledge, like detailing exactly what they did to mutate it to this strain, so that anyone's concerns that someone would copy it and maliciously aren't real fears. But basically, there's a bunch of scientists now being like, we need an advisory board of people to make sure that anyone who does this research is doing it in such a way that all of these fears aren't necessary. Like, this is really important research, because if it suddenly mutates into mammals, which clearly it's not very far away from doing, we have enough knowledge to be able to fight it, or like work on it to build a vaccine or things like that.
If that happens though, is it just like over, or is there like, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but it seems to me like if half the people die, like it's not like, oh well, the population's halved. It's like everyone dies, because then you don't have any of the people to do all the things that people do.
I thought of this earlier, which is, the question is like, what's the threshold of people that have to be infected or die from a thing? And I'm sure it depends on how contagious it is, but like, do we have some sense of like if 10% of the people are infected and they're super contagious, is that enough to like create a runaway epidemic?
Oh yeah.
Is it
10%? Definitely.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Probably. Yeah, I don't know.
You played Pandemic. You know how
only the
spreads.
good one, where you're the good guys. The board game.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I guess, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Picking up what you're putting down.
So, but yeah, my point is that like, you don't need all the people to die for all the people to die.
Yeah.
Like only a certain number of people have to die from flu before like it becomes quite hard to feed the rest of us.
Just kill each other.
Stuff around and stuff. Yeah.
Shaving cream or whatever.
Kill each other with shaving cream.
Water.
I think I'll stop shaving before I do that, but water, I'd kill you for water.
You need an apocalypse beer for sure.
Oh yeah, gotta stay warm.
If there's a global super pandemic, can we stop coming to work?
I mean, probably what would happen
yeah.
is we put you like you'd have to do some more necessary work. You might have to end up being like a truck driver
chop
or
wood,
a farmer,
I've already been a
wood
truck
chopper.
driver.
I can
It's
teach
so
you how to
boring.
pipette, and you can research with me.
Okay, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, if there's a global pandemic, can we pivot into research lab?
We can do. I have BL2 clearance. I did.
What does that
Ceri
mean?
once had BL2 clearance, so
I
we're all
very
good.
well.
We're in. We'll just do it in the hermit crab room.
I don't even know
Yeah,
if
we
it's
can
called
change
BL.
it. We can just leave all the hermit
Biology.
crabs out and be like, we got more important stuff to do. I'm sorry.
I work
Other
with
hermit
cancer cells. That's like
Oh.
not very
Yeah.
intensive.
Fine.
It's like so it's like 1 through 4. 4 is like you. This is a
Anthrax.
disease that does. Yeah.
We got a level 4
Anthrax.
lab in Hamilton, I think, or we used to.
Yeah.
It's still open.
4 is like things that can't be cured.
Are those
right
like
now.
in the middle of nowhere? Usually those kind of labs. Or?
No.
No, I don't know why that one's in Hamilton. It is pretty in the middle of nowhere there.
Yeah.
And then it's weird to think that there's a bunch of like high-level scientists in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hamilton is a very small town for people who don't live in Montana.
Yeah. Which is most people.
Almost
So
all.
if I started squirting
Ferret snot.
There.
Mhm.
people's snot into other people's noses, I'm a deranged multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
And I had a state-of-the-art lab with like unscrupulous scientists. Could I make this pretty easily?
I mean,
I think you'd have to abduct a lot of humans.
yeah, you'd have to abduct a lot of humans.
Don't
You would
worry
have
about
to-
that.
That's fine. Yeah.
Sam's got that taken care of.
If you were an unscrupulous person, you could probably create a virus that would be highly infectious.
If you were a single unscrupulous scientist, could you do it?
If you had a lot of
Probably.
money.
If you had a lot of money
Okay.
and you had a way to acquire it and a way to acquire the right lab equipment, because basically what it sounds like this person did is he just like took a virus that he knew was already pretty virulent and then mutated it a bunch
Mhm.
and then like just kept trying it
Until it started to work.
That's like a lot of science is you have like hundreds and thousands of failures and then one
Yeah.
thing is actually
Right.
infectious. So
Mm.
what you would need to do as an evil billionaire is like find an infectious virus or bacterium that you wanted to make worse and then like mutate it, infect people or whatever you want. to
Probably
infect
start
and
with
do that.
ferrets.
Yeah.
Because they're easier to get than
Mm.
people, and then you'd move from and then once you were killing the ferrets regularly, you'd start to put it in people's noses,
Oh,
Yeah.
and you'd have to get a bunch of people because they'd be dying some, and
Yeah, you'd want to like see the effects in them, and so you could like take down like, well, this person developed a fever but no brain hemorrhaging. This person developed a heart attack. So then you look at the viruses in each of them. It's like what mutation caused what.
but it is the kind of thing that you could do with a laboratory of like 20 people and like a really unscrupulous government for sure, which is terrifying.
yeah.
Hmm.
Seems likely, I guess, to me.
Yeah. There's a quote in one of
There's
these
some-
articles that was like, I'm not afraid of the end of the world caused by like
Asteroid.
asteroid or things like that. I'm afraid of. They used Harvard, which I thought was funny, but like some Harvard kid sitting in a dorm room who's bored and like happens to find the sequence of a super infectious virus and make it for fun.
I'm so glad we ended on yours, Ceri, the most credible threat to actually me.
It's like deflating, horrifying.
Yeah.
Screw the bees. I don't care about bees. I don't want to die from a global super virus.
I would much rather die from the universe suddenly disintegrating.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah.
That was my other one. Was the universe
Oh.
could be I'll turn into strange matter and just like become strange
Ah.
matter.
But different
That's
in
it.
a different way than my
In
way.
a different way. Yeah, it's just like our current hypothesis of how strange matter works is that there's a particle that's made of like an up and a down and a strange quark
Mhm.
called lambda particle, and it's too unstable, so it breaks apart. But I think there's a strange hypothesis right now, which is a cool name, that if those particles, if there are enough of them to make any particle with a strange quark in it stable, that it would become more stable the bigger it is. And so if it got big enough, like about the size of an estimated like a helium atom, then everything would just chain reaction become
bump
strange.
into it, and then it was like, whoop,
Yeah.
the
What
whole
does that
universe
mean?
is that one
What is
particle.
strange, whatever.
It's a strange particle.
So there are different types of quarks. Hank wrote a song about them.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sing it for me.
That's okay. There's a similar, I think a Kurt Vonnegut book maybe.
Ice 9.
Ice
Yeah.
Nine. Yeah, it's like Ice 9, but
Right.
I don't think scientists think it's super likely. I think
Well, Ice 9 also is not super
yeah.
likely.
Ice
To
9
be
is
clear.
honestly one of my biggest fears.
But it's like
Ice
that.
9 is Ice 9 is the kind of ice that that other water that touches Ice 9 becomes ice even at high temperatures.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's a chain reaction.
And so then everything on
So if it ever
Earth
touched anything in the universe or whatever, like on a
suddenly
planet,
all water would be ice, and then you couldn't
then you'd be dead.
Yeah.
You'd be ice too.
you'd be ice too.
Yeah, that's kind of like, so like a proton is 2 ups and a down, I
Mhm.
think, and a neutron is 2 downs and an up quark altogether, and that's like nuclear matter. But then there are other quarks that can form particles, and they have in particle accelerators, like a lambda particle is an up, a down, and a strange.
But they only last for a little bit of
They only
time.
last for a little bit of time, and then they disintegrate, and then they become stable as nuclear matter. So
Mhm.
like,
Right.
become stable as normal protons and neutrons instead
So
of
the
just
idea
weird.
is don't make this thing in the particle accelerator.
Don't make it's called a strangelet, which I
Please.
like a lot.
Don't make any
Stop,
strange
scientists. Just stop.
Yeah.
Everything.
You're saying that you could have destroyed the universe.
Yes. We know
Wow.
everything we need to know.
Oh, okay. Thank you for your terrifying apocalypse facts. We'll be back
My.
as a different podcast, but we will be back.
Everything has to die at some point
It's
to
true.
be reborn.
The apocalypse of holy fucking science is now. Thank you for sticking with us through it, though it is not an actual end.
Yeah.
And just like all ends, it is just a part of the process. And when the Earth went from a fart ball to an oxygenated, lovely place, that required one of the most tremendous mass extinctions that the Earth has ever experienced.
Calling
And
us a fart
Yeah.
And this is a little bit like that.
We're a fart
We're
ball.
a fart ball right now.
I'm not-
Soon.
Did I ever say there was something wrong with being a fart
There's
ball?
nothing wrong.
I did.
Seems
I
to
said
want to be a fart
that
ball again.
specific thing earlier in the
Yep.
podcast.
Oh yeah, you hate
But the
Stefan's the one who loves
Yeah,
fart
I'm
balls.
ready.
All
well,
right.
no, you have to embrace being a
I mean,
snowball.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna be a
An
snowball.
oxygenated snowball.
Beautiful.
It's gonna
Is this our
be
midlife crisis?
several billion years before this podcast is any good.
Whoa!
This is what I've learned. Before we get to like the real advanced version, it's just a lot of
Where we just say
years of
beep boop.
evolution.
You gotta have 10,000 hours, right? Is that how many it is to be an expert?
Well, that's like to become a master,
Oh,
a
Oh,
virtuoso of podcasting talent.
yeah.
It's only like a few thousand hours to competency.
Okay.
All
I
right.
put in a pretty fair amount of hours in the podcast.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're
We're
getting
there.
real good.
We're there.
It's so good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks to our sponsor, Big Sky Brewery, for providing us with beer. Big Sky Brewery here in Missoula, Montana, ships all across the United States. You can get Moose Drool in, I think, like 36 different states now. And they are great, and we like them and have so much delicious stuff. And if you ever find yourself in Missoula, Montana, make sure you stop by there.
They also do really cool concerts in the summer.
They do.
So maybe if you want to come to Montana, look into one of their concert series. They're
Yeah.
really cool.
And also, apparently, the Pie Hole has really good salad.
Come eat a salad, come go to a concert.
This podcast, behind the camera and the soundboard, has been Hiroka. Thank you for your help, Hiroka. I am Hank Green,
I'm Stefan Chin.
I'm Sam Schultz.
I'm Ceri Riley.
and this has been Holy Fucking Science.
From the chat.
Oh.
The 3 original Pokemon are real bad. You don't want them.
Oh
They're
no!
not. No, they're not.
Oh my god, okay.
I will
I'm
fight
just
you,
reading the
chat.
chat.
They've rebalanced them since then.
Yeah.
John should never watch this episode. No one made a pot joke when oregano came up.
I thought about making a pizza joke.
Yeah,
I was
thought
trying
about
to
a
figure
soup,
out-
like the big soup ocean.
Oh, a joke in the comments. Well,
Thanks,
That's it.
comments.
Thanks, comments.
Thanks, live stream.
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks guys.
Why
We'll
would John not like this episode?
Paranoia
Yeah, just terrifying, anxiety-inducing fart balls.
because of
Yeah.
fart balls, basically.
Most fart balls are anxiety inducing, I imagine.
Goodbye, everybody.
I'm into fart balls. Bye.
Bye.